Okay, good morning. Welcome to our informational session on the City of Arcata proposed water and wastewater adjustments. We're gonna go over a few of the background materials. I hope I can do a better job this time of sharing my screen properly and get into everybody's questions. We have posted on the city's webpage a Q&A from questions we got last time, and we'll try to answer all those questions. I see that right now there are 10 people in the room or on the webinar. You can type in questions and we'll get to them one by one. With this many people, that's no problem. And or I can unmute you and you can speak, which was either way is fine. If you have a preference, let me know. So I'm just going to see if we have anybody who was dialed on last time. We have from our finance department, Darcy Quinn, and we have to help me with this, finance director Andrea Starvetsky will be on in a second. Bella Waters, City of Arcata Environmental Services administrative assistant as well. So we'll make sure that we get to all your questions. But first, I just wanted to thank Arcata citizen Fred Weiss, and I'm gonna show you a correction we had the consultants make in the rates for wastewater. And I'm going to scroll down on the notice that was sent to everyone. I hope everyone who either is a bill payer, a customer of water and sewer, or a property owner received this notice in the mail. So if you scroll down and see what I'm highlighting for wastewater, just to get this out there, the proposed rates show for a 5-year period a 10% increase for 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23, and then 8% 23, 24, 24, 25. So those percentages are correct. The math on this column and this column is corrected, and I'll have Bella bring that up at some point. So anyway, this actually calced out as 10%, but that got changed so it's less than the notice. So the city council can adopt rates that are less than what was noticed, by the way, not more than. And even in the future for water and wastewater, if the council does adopt this rate increase on July 1st at the hearing, which is July 1st, they can choose in future years to reduce that from what's published today. For example, if we're able to obtain more grants, or if costs are less than anticipated for some reason, they can be less than. But let me just really get to the heart of the matter of why the city council and the city of Arcata is proposing a rate adjustment. And for water, it is an adjustment because some customers are going to see a reduction, and for wastewater, it is an increase for a 5-year period, and that's primarily for financing a very large capital improvement project, the wastewater treatment plant upgrade, which replaces a lot of 40-year-old plus infrastructure and adds new treatment elements to keep our treatment plant, and our discharge to Humboldt Bay in compliance, and to be as efficient as possible and meet all the state and federal regulations. So first of all, I wanted to say that each property owner and or ratepayer has the right to file a protest to this proposed increase, make sure it's in writing and sent to Arcata City Hall, 736 F Street, or delivered to the city. We will have July 1st City Council meeting and open the public hearing on this matter. You can provide input then, but it needs to be in writing for the city to count a protest as a valid protest. Most cities, update their rates every beginning of the fiscal year. July 1st is the beginning of the fiscal year. The city council and the workshops for this matter, and to be sensitive about the COVID-19 issue, decided to delay the implementation dates for these proposed rates, and that's articulated in the notice. For water, it would be July or September 1st, 2020, and for wastewater, it would be the 1st of January, 2021. So that there's a delay in the implementation. So I think it's important, and most people realize the water and wastewater utilities charge what's necessary to deliver the service. No more, and we can't charge less because we have to deliver the service. So they have to be fiscally able to deliver water and wastewater service to Arcata customers. The current customer base, as well as the anticipated additional new customers in the next 5 to 10, 15 years as new customers come online. So I wanted to just say that, we provide water and sewer services to everyone in the city of Arcata that's not a vacant parcel, and some outside of the city for water only, Jacoby Creek Water District. The city also takes wastewater from Fieldbrook, Glendale, does not provide them water, just wastewater. And so in terms of the area of service, it's primarily the city limits, but also includes the Jacoby Creek and some outside city for water. And let me get to let me get to the water right now, because really for water, it would be good if we focused on the water rates for consumption. And I'm going to highlight it right here. This is the current 2019-20 rates for consumption. You can see it's different for non-residential outside city. It's different as you use more water. Due to case law all over California in the past few years, it's become clear that cities and water districts need to achieve parity in terms of what we charge for water consumption. So that is why you're seeing the exact same rates for all these use categories going forward. When I say it would go down for some, you can see 400 cubic feet and up, it goes down. Where it's going to be noticeable is for the average single family residential the first year. Whoops, sorry. Okay, right here I'm focusing on the first year. You can see that jump for the average user. That's 37%. From this to this. That's 1.5% then on out for the 5-year period. So pretty modest after that. So that's first year is that, achieving that parity of fairness across all customer accounts. And that's what's driving the changes for water. I mean, there are capital projects we're looking to build for sure. a new water tank east of West End Road on the Forest Hillside there, 1,000,000-gallon tank, because we, don't have enough storage capacity for serious emergency or earthquake, a major downtown fire, just having that additional backup. So that's that plus some below ground water line replacements are the main capital projects for this 5-year period. You can see water rates are based on meter size for the base rate, and then you have the use. Different meter sizes are here. I do have we have an account of all the meter sizes that we could show you too if you'd like. But there are factors applied to those meters based on the American Water Works Association. The city has used those for 20 years. They've changed a bit. Now they're all up to date in terms of the meter rates for the base rates based on your meter size. So I just wanted to say that if anyone wants to see how those rates for water would affect their bill, finance department can walk you through that. We've had a few people ask for that, so we can maybe while we're on water, I'll just turn to Darcy and put on the screen what the average bill looks like, and she can kind of walk through that as a sample. Darcy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Maybe a little louder.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to stop sharing that screen and bring up the bill. Do you want me to bring that up, or Bella, can you bring that up? Stand by. You have that sample bill. Okay, it's coming.
Great. So I just wanted to point out that you can use the information on your bill to calculate what the proposed rates will look like for you in the future. And I'll start at the top. So under meter reading, we have highlighted the reading date and the consumption, which is under usage. And in this example, it's 4 units. So that is the total amount of water that was measured since the previous reading, and that is what you'll be billed for. And then under current charges, you can see what meter size you have. So in this example, it's a 5/8 inch meter, and this is being charged residential rates. So all of this information is on the proposed rate mailer that all customers received. So you can factor in what your new base rate will be. And that is going slightly down for our residential customers. I believe it's $11.52 for the proposed rate. And then right beneath that is the water consumption total. So that is going to be 4 units multiplied by the proposed rate per unit, which is $6.74. So that is how you can calculate that line. And then next we have the sewer base charge, which is also available on that mailer, and then the sewer consumption charge. So when we talk about the average customer, we usually well, what we've been using is 4 units because that is what the average usage is for all the customers in Arcata. And we do not charge any sewer consumption charges for the first 4 units of water consumption. So that is why that is 0. Once you get past 4 units, then there is a sewer consumption charge per unit, but not on the first 4. And then beneath that, you've got the sewer repair fee, and that is on everybody's bill once a month until it sunsets January 1st, 2023. And then utility users tax, which is 3%, and that's calculated on all the above line items except the sewer repair fee. So based on looking at your current bill, you can calculate what the proposed bill will look like for you. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to give the finance department a phone call or an email. We're happy to calculate that for you. And then you can also see we have highlighted in the chart, which is the prior usage and then current usage. And so this is for current year and previous year. So you can get a feel for what, you know, your average usage is in order to calculate your new bills. And I think that's all.
Okay, I'm checking to see if you have any questions there. There are a couple people having a hard time getting on. Just want to make sure everybody's on. Okay. And I've unmuted everybody, and Adobe Class has joined us. Special projects engineer.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Gotcha.
I can't get the, I'll try to work on the video thing here, but thanks for sending me that link.
If we don't get to everybody's questions here, we'll try. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna work on a couple here. Here's one. How do you propose that businesses afford this rate increase? Our restaurants currently consider our water and sewer bill as one of the highest expenses. We're barely making it through, even before COVID. Shelter in place, and this will be pretty devastating. Yes, I mean, I totally understand that. And we're deferring wastewater out, 6 months. Even though we're on a time schedule order with the state to upgrade our wastewater treatment plant. We're currently doing that. It's in the design and permitting phase, environmental. We have delayed the project a bit, based on the current situation. For water, for restaurants, mostly, I would say water's probably going to be less than it currently is. But wastewater it is going to be taking the jump. The first year is 10. Last year we didn't raise rates by anything more than just inflation. So that was 2.84%. And this question will get to the heart of the purpose and need, which let me just share the screen here for a second. All right, let's see. I mean, this is not completely up to date, but this is our wastewater treatment plant. I hope you can see this right now. Can you see it, Dobie?
Yes.
Okay. So why do we need to upgrade the plant? Well, there are components like our headworks here, where I'll point to, that receives all the wastewater that could fall apart anytime. We've been maintaining it way beyond its design life. The headworks, the heart and soul that receives all the wastewater to the plant and then distributes it through wetlands, clarifiers, different apparatuses for treatment to Humboldt Bay. we did a full-on audit of our treatment plant. It's called a facilities plan. Carollo engineers out of Walnut Creek came in and looked at our plant, looked at the condition, looked at the needs for achieving, compliance. We haven't met compliance at all times. We have some discharge violations. Thankfully, we're able to use the monetary violation amount towards improving the plant. That's $366,000. We don't want to be operating the plant on a consistent basis and not make discharge. But in a nutshell, facilities plan and the workshops the city council had for looking at alternatives to best provide now and future wastewater treatment came up with an approach that gets the most out of our wetlands and adds and replaces old infrastructure well beyond its design life and adds some new elements. And one key element there that the council and staff all recommended was changing from chlorine disinfection to ultraviolet light disinfection. We were able to receive a pretty sizable grant for that component. But we discovered by getting rid of chlorine, which has a lot of environmental baggage, disinfection byproducts, and it's just cleaner, pollution-wise, public safety-wise, by not having a lot of storage of chlorine there in case we had a mishap, an earthquake or something. Employee safety of handling, hazardous chemical like that. Ultraviolet light or UV was deemed the pathway for the city's future plan. But we discovered in the facilities plan that chlorine helped us achieve a lot of treatment. It's an oxidizer, so which is really like 30% of the total treatment plant, this ability to deal with BOD, we call it, biological oxygen demand. So we had to make up for that somehow. How do we make up for that? Well, we're putting a bunch of aerators in this pond this year, a bunch of aerators in this pond next year. These are oxidation ponds. And to also deal with that shortfall on chlorine or BOD treatment, and to deal with a new ammonia limit, which we have now. Ammonia, it's toxic to aquatic life, and that can't be discharged to the bay like we have in the past. An oxidation ditch, this big oval concrete, high rate, treatment will go into place, and that will help us get that ammonia limit dealt with, as well as achieve more overall treatment. So these are clarifiers, these round things, these two oxidation ditches. We really think one ditch is going to get us there. This is a future placeholder for a secondary ditch. If the city grows faster than we think, right now it's about 1% per year. This year it's probably contracted. That's average 1% per year. And in the distant future, because this question came up a lot last session, sea level rise, how viable will this treatment plant be long term? Well, our engineers have looked at the investment of this new infrastructure. Well, we will achieve our rate of return there. In the future, the ponds, the wetlands, and a lot of the marshes, may not be part of the treatment system, and then we could armor this small footprint and get it several more decades. I mean, that's the plan, is to improve our current 100-acre treatment plant, shrink it in the future if necessary, but that's far down the line. We've looked carefully at whether we should move it now or not. Moving it now would be cost prohibitive. Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to get to the purpose and need, the treatment plant upgrade. We've been talking and planning for this for years. Okay, question about the 10-10-10-8-8. And yeah, some people did do the math on that for wastewater, and that's been corrected. So it is 8-8 for those last 2 years, and we are putting on our website a revised. The consultants did, Bartle Wells, a revised sheet that shows that. Another question: is there anything in the proposed rate increase adjustment that would prevent further rate increases on years 6, 7, and 8, or in the future? If there were to be cost overruns, then could rates go up more? That's a good question. Possible. It depends. I mean, there are certain variables we can't guarantee. We buy water from Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District. That's one variable. We expect that'll be within the current 1.35 million per year, maybe 2 to 4% increase during the 5-year period. In the distant future, I mean, we hope that uncontrolled variable doesn't get out of hand. We maintain a reserve, try to have 30% in case of a catastrophic failure to a lift station or to a major component. So we've worked hard to build up the reserve. We as a city, all the owners of the wastewater treatment plant, and everybody who's hooked up is an owner. We had pretty thin reserves, before our rate increase of 2014 kicked in. So we feel good about our financial position now on the reserve side. But yeah, there's no guarantee rates won't go up years outside that 5-year period. But this 5-year rate increase gets us the important ability to service the debt on the treatment plant project that is close to $60 million. By far the largest capital project the city has ever done. So it does get us there to retire, service that debt over a probably 30-year period. So the city is always looking at what others are paying in the region too. We try to stay, and I can show a chart of that in a minute, but we try to make sure that we don't want to be an outlier. We want to be on the low end of that bar and get as efficient as we can. We get to a couple more questions that have piled up here before we go to the PowerPoint. I don't question the need for an upgrade. Municipalities often fund capital projects with bonds. If this is an upgrade that will serve for 20 or more years, and it is, why fund it with large rate increase over 5 years only, rather than funding it over 20 years with bonds? In particular, given very low interest rates. Okay. Just so I'm not the only one talking and you get tired of me, I'm going to turn this over to our finance director. But I want to say that, yeah, interest rates are low, and we're looking for state revolving loan, 1.8%, as our way to finance the treatment plant upgrade, which I believe is more attractive than some of the bond financing we've looked at. Andrea, do you want to say anything?
Sure. So just to add to what our environmental services director was speaking on for the bond financing versus the state revolving loan financing, I believe we have looked at bond financing options as well. The interest rates are more favorable for the state revolving loan option. And because of the nature of the state revolving loan option, we have the ability to break the project up into multiple phases as well and continue to evaluate once we finish phase 1, if we need to continue on into phase 2, if there are cost savings, the revolving loan setup is more favorable as we draw down versus taking out a lump sum at one time that we won't necessarily need through the bond financing option. if there happens to be cost savings throughout the project.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea, for bringing up the phasing approach, and Toby Class can talk on this a little bit, but the city, rather than just doing one capital wastewater project as one big construction project, decided to phase it, phase 1 and phase 2. The thought was that some of the improvements in phase 1 may inform how much or to what degree we need all of phase 2 to be implemented, by getting some feedback on the effectiveness of some of those early phases. Toby, do you want to add to that? Let's see, did I mute you? I hope I didn't. Toby, can you hear me? Okay, sorry. Not sure what happened there.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
Thank you. So
This
I'm
Fred?
still not, this is David Marshak.
Okay.
So I'm still not clear why the city would have these very large rate increases rather than have a 20 or 30-year bond. Is the city already have a bond? Is that, you're spoke about paying off the interest? I'm confused, you've confused me.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too. But currently, the city does have a bond. It appears on your bill as a $5 per month sewer repair bill. That will drop off everybody's bill after the 3rd year from that. So that'll be all retired. So that'll come off.
So then why not bond or use this revolving loan fund over a 20 or 30-year period for a 20 or 30-year project rather than a 5-year rate increase?
Well, the 5-year rate increase provides the revenue for the debt service for the 20 to 30-year retirement of that principal on that low interest rate. So does that make sense? I mean, we have to be able to show the state who will issue this loan the ability to pay, that we have fiscally, we're healthy enough to service the debt. So that's what the stepped up rate increase, which also helps us do the construction, the rates as indicated on the mailer we sent out. Andrea, do you want to say anything to that?
I think I understand what our viewer's question is, just the question of long-term debt financing versus a shorter term. And then my understanding, and I can review to make sure there's nothing I'm missing in passing, but as far as being able to qualify for the state revolving loan fund, as Mark had pointed out, we do have to demonstrate the ability to pay back during the time period that we're doing the construction for the wastewater treatment plant. But I can take a look and just make sure there's nothing I'm missing for options and financing or funding.
Yeah.
Okay, just to say one more thing. I mean, for me as a citizen, I want to support this, but I also want to feel that there's no alternative. I mean, these are really significant rate increases. And, it's really problematic. I mean, you heard already from one business owner, and I'm sure there are many others, as well as people on fixed incomes. And I just would want to know that this can't be bonded and have it paid out over a longer time.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I think a portion of that too is with the bond fund financing, we only can go for our rate increases for 5 years at a time. So if we came back 5 years from now and our citizens chose not to continue forward to make sure our rates were enough to pay back that bond debt financing, then we would be on the hook for those construction costs as a city. So I think part of it is making sure that we do have those revenues indeed to support the wastewater treatment plant project.
Okay, well, I think you need to do better public information about that then.
Okay.
I don't know if, I'm sure you're aware of what happened to the Arcata Fire Department effort to raise their rates, which was really unfortunate and hopefully will be overturned by voters. But, you know, there's resistance, obviously. I don't want to be resistant. I want to be supportive, but I want to know that this is the best financing possible.
Thank you.
Right.
And thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Hi, Mark. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry, some technical difficulties here, and I would love to be on the screen, but it's not working well today. So I'll just kind of go back to one and just kind of to share again with the group. The phasing of the project is one of the ways that we're really looking to see what we can get out of phase one. And I'll just reiterate what Mark said very clearly. This is an old wastewater treatment plant. We're over 40 years old, basically, and a lot of components are much older. Really, the majority of what we're doing in phase one is kind of replacing all that aged infrastructure. So not even a question, not even an option for what we're doing there. And then two, we're trying to supercharge the oxidation ponds. You don't see that on the figure that Mark shared with you there. But as Mark indicated and other people have, you know, we're really hoping that we're going to get more bang from our buck than we know what we're going to get out of this first aeration phase. And then phase two will be the mechanical system, which is the all the new concrete structures, et cetera, that we'll be putting in there. And that's kind of the second half installment. So knock on wood, we're going to be looking very carefully at what we get out of this first phase approach, which is, again, still a substantial cost, you know, $30 million approximately. And what we get towards the goal there. And we will analyze that and see if there is anything we can do to reduce our costs overall towards the second phase of the project. The other comment that I'll make, basically, everything I've heard is correct about the financing here. This really is long-term the best financing that we can get. It is a very low rate of return. And we do, I think, as Andrea was pointing out there, I thought just when I got back on there, heard her, we do need to assure the state fund that we have the ability to pay back. And that's where we have the ability to kind of basically make our debt payment, our debt service on this. And if we do indeed find a way to do this more economically, and if the bids come in, you know, low, the city can also always look at reducing the costs in the end there. So not that we're going to do that, but we have that option, and we're not just going to, you know, we don't want to spend more money if we don't have to. Believe us. The breaking up of the project, really kind of spreading that over the 5-year increase, and that's kind of on the schedule for the construction period that we're looking at, kind of getting everything implemented and on board. So that's really kind of at the heart of the matter here. That we need to be able to finance this debt, and that's the way it works through the state system.
I wanted to share this screen here. Just a second. Not sure what happened. Okay.
Can I ask too, for the people that are on, if you're a business owner, are you a high strength waste business owner? And you know, and have you run the numbers based upon your existing flow rates for what you anticipate your actual wastewater increases are going to be? And then for those of you that are in a pre-treatment option, I'm just kind of curious if any of you have considered pre-treatment. So sorry for not knowing who all the people are on the phone call, but you know, those are things that I think we could help you with. And then also too, if you are a kind of a, you know, long-term investment here in the city of Arcata, if there were some type of a pre-treatment system, we'd be glad to, you know, discuss with you and help in any way that we could to try to determine a way to, you know, get you into a better classification.
Yeah, and we can look at that. We're looking at a few businesses right now who may not be in the right, well, with through a meter change or a few things could lower their rates based on the strength. So we hired a consultant. You know, we did a request for proposal and got, I think, 3 responses and interviewed these consultants and selected one, Bartle Wells, would highly recommend it and had great references. So you know, they did a deep dive into the finance department's records and our past budgets and the consultant's report on the needs for the treatment plant and the pre-design report, the engineering report on what it would cost to upgrade the plant. This is the report that talks about the treatment plant, or this page I have up on the screen is the capital improvement part. And you can see those are large numbers for the phase 1, phase 2 treatment plant upgrade. There are some levee improvements too. And there's also some inflow and infiltration improvements to the collection network of pipes in the city that brings all the wastewater to the plant. We just completed a $6 to $7 million grant-funded, you know, lining of a lot of the city's sewer main lines to lower significantly the amount of inflow and infiltration, excess water, groundwater, so we didn't have to pump and treat that. So we're going to continue that as well as the plant itself in terms of the total wastewater utility. But you can look at across here and see these big numbers of this is construction, you know, 15 million, and then phase 2, 16 million. So those two add up to a lot. Construction is over, and debt service, you know, to retire, you know, these major capital investments. You know, it's pretty important to have a treatment plant that works well. Everybody knows that, and I wish we had more customers to spread it around. It's just a bad point in time right now. I know, but we do have to comply with the state. We'll push that as far as we can, but we need to get our major components in place to comply with our permit. That's essential, as is replacing things that are beyond maintenance at this point, beyond, you know, we just repair only. So, you know, for a city to be, you know, to set the stage for economic, you know, development, economic health, having the plant operate well and to be able to take, you know, new customers is pretty important. We all know that. There are bad stories around the state where cities that didn't invest in their treatment plant upgrades got out of compliance, ended up with a cease and desist order from the state, meaning no new hookups till you get your, you know, act together. We never want to be in that position. No way. So we spent a long time trying to get the best bang for the buck here, because we know it's a small town and it's a big project. So I think the first phase is really going to test things and how we can get the most out of that, and hopefully phase 2 will have less cost associated with it. But I wanted to show this capital chart because it's pretty important. I'm going to bring another one in here. Let me. Just for a basis of comparison, this shows a selected group of cities in the region and where we stand with everybody else. Not that it matters, but we want to get the best deal we can for our system. We'd like to be on the lower side.
Not sharing that.
Oh. Okay. Sorry. Okay, is that sharing now, the combined bill survey?
I can see
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't have it. You can see the Arcata bar here. This is current water and sewer. I know these are going to go up. They have a different water source than we do. Fortuna, we talked to all the munis all the time about we all have the same things that we have to deliver. Just about being more efficient. Crescent City has a new treatment plant, so they're kind of on cruise control for a while in terms of major replacements. This is our proposed where we would be water and sewer for the average single family residence. We use that as a surrogate just as because that's where most of the population resides. Water, we expected really to be pretty even. Wastewater has been really our focus and our need. But when we saw, and we're told that we couldn't have tiered rates anymore in Arcata. Tiered meaning charge more for this type of customer, or more for this one because they happen to use more. We had to change that up. In fact, it's changed to the point where the city now has to pay, we're customers for our sports fields, for the community center, for park irrigation, for ballpark irrigation, for city hall, water and waste. We'll be paying our own on September 1st as well. That's part of this whole restructuring. So anyway, this is what it jumps to. This is year 1, by the way. So that's with 10%. So of course that's going to go higher the next years out, but Eureka, I think they're doing a similar. Well, we're close to Eureka, and I don't know what everybody's doing next fiscal year, but if it's just inflation, or if they're doing a major upgrade or a new water tank or whatnot. So all these documents are on our website. This is wastewater alone, by the way, our current and proposed 2021 for wastewater single family. So that's 10%. I had one for water too. Oh, this is just the wastewater report. I'm sorry. The council looked at some for wastewater. We'll focus on that. Increase options. One option was having a surcharge for the capital improvement project, kind of like we have now with that $5 repair fee. That was this scenario here. for debt service. It was recommended to us just to put it as part of the rate structure. There was another one where we looked at a lower expense, and if I can remember right, that alternative, I guess, didn't achieve the objectives of the project. So anyway, we had a lot of workshops, technical workshops, and landed where we landed. Just so you can see how cash flow works, wastewater service charges per year is about 6 to 7 million. This is the service charge. These are connection fees for new services, this line here. And here are our grants. You can see we do have grants that are feeding into our systems, and we're going to be looking for more too, especially for levee upgrades around the treatment plant, and trying to maximize the grant side. So hopefully there'll be an infrastructure bill one day that will help us. Years ago, there's a lot of federal funding for treatment plant upgrades, and that's not been the case for the last 20 years. So it's pretty much cities are on their own to pay for their own upgrades. Let me check the questions here. And I think I've allowed everybody to talk. If they want to just ask a question now, they can, or you can type it in, and we'll get to it that way. Any general questions or anything we've covered so far?
Someone asked that we mute everybody due to sound quality, so if they can raise their hand.
Can I ask a question? Have you decided how you're going to alter the system? That seemed to be still up in the air last time I heard discussion on it. What are you going to replace? Are you going to do away with the Mars system?
No, not at all. The upgrade project gets the most out of the marshes that we can. And they're an important part of the treatment plant now into the future. They have seasonal fluctuations, so we can't treat this Arcata's wastewater with the wetlands alone. That's why we have some additional facilities to boost the treatment and to make up for the loss of chlorine by going to ultraviolet light. Chlorine, I mentioned earlier, if you weren't on the line, helps. The current plant we have is wetland and chemical combo. Okay. The future plant is mechanical and wetland.
And is that in a different place?
It's the same place. Yeah, it's the same place. So in terms of physical place, the treatment plant is not being proposed to move. It's just upgrading old infrastructure, adding a few new elements like ultraviolet disinfection, aerators in the ponds, more robust, maintenance of the treatment wetlands in terms of vegetation management, moving our outfall from Butcher Slough all the way over to McDaniel Slough to get more out of the treated wastewater in terms of beneficial use to wildlife and water and wetland area, to use it more rather than just shoot it out into the bay for habitat purposes, and to meet new discharge requirements such as ammonia, which every treatment plant has now, and we have in our permit, but we currently aren't able to treat for ammonia. So there's a lot, we got a lot in this new permit that we really wanted. Some things were crazy in terms of, having to chlorine disinfect twice, as it looped around the wildlife area. Now it's a single pass to the bay, using ultraviolet to zap, pathogens, viruses, bacterias, etc. So the wetlands are part of it. In fact, we're trying to cram additional wetlands, but we have space limitations there.
Mark, if I can make.
Where would those be?
Okay.
Is that me? Oh,
Go
well,
ahead.
so, we are reconstructing one of the wetlands currently right now. That would be the treatment wetland number 4. But just to point out to the question, as far as the wastewater treatment plant, people, it's that, if you're in the Arcata Marsh and Wildlife Sanctuary, we are going to be doing some improvements in there, basically baffling, putting some baffles in there to promote or reduce the amount of short circuiting that happens in there, so we get more time and better attenuation of nutrient uptake. And the other aspects that we're going to promote, more flow will be allowed to go through the enhancement marshes. That's a requirement under this new permit, as Mark mentioned. We have a new permit on that, and improvements out at the Hauser pump station, so South I Street. You really won't see much in the part of the plant that people kind of come and watch the birds and all that kind of stuff. Really, again, most of the work in this first phase really is replacing and making, supercharging kind of the system that we had in there to really get more efficiency out of it, to really look at what we can do in a 2-phased approach rather than just going strictly to the mechanical system, which would have been the easiest thing for us to do, quite honestly. We really could have just abandoned the wetland treatment system and kind of gone for a conventional oxidation type system. We're going to be using the oxidation ditch. You're going to what you would call a sludge plant, basically. The council really made the decision that this is really something that we are, as part of Arcata, really pride ourselves on, that we have this very novel wastewater treatment system. It relies principally upon natural processes without a lot of mechanical type of input in it right now. And we're really trying to maintain that that aesthetic and that type of a plant. The phase 2, as Mark kind of pointed out, is really about some of the new compliance issues as far as the ammonia reduction. And again, we'll go through this phase 1, see what we can get out of it when we kind of put the turbo on our existing system, and change the disinfection around, which has always been a really important council goal, safety wise and for environmental enhancement. And then we're going to jump into the phase 2 with that. But I will let you know that as far as cost goes, for a long time, the city really deferred a lot of maintenance projects here. We really haven't done any major work down at the wastewater treatment plant in a long time, other than some enhancements we did several years ago. We did add some additional treatment marshes, but other than that, basically we're using the same old system that was really designed in 1980. So this is really part of a normal and process that you would do at any wastewater treatment plant, across the country. And really, it was the council decision, a community decision. These were all public meetings to not kind of go with the, we're just going to go with the activated sludge plant or something you'd see in a conventional city today. And we're kind of going as much as possible with the natural based system, maintaining the Arcata Marsh and Wildlife Sanctuary, certainly as long as it's possible with anticipated sea level rise. And really, that's the gem of the city. So I won't say anymore. I'm probably off topic here.
I just popped another chart on. This is from the consultant's PowerPoint they gave to the city council in March, because some have had questions about, what about the rate increase we did in 2014? And that a lot of that is going towards this project. If you look at this far side here, cash funding means our own existing reserves that have been feeding towards this project. So for levee improvements, phase 1 and phase 2, you can see the 5-year costs here, 81 million. Grant funding, 6.5. We're going to do our best to double that. Debt service for the loan payback, the low interest state loan, 55 million, which, we'll use that as the degree we need to. And then our cash fund, 20 million is from our, previous rate increase, primarily. So, okay, I may have to mute a few because I might have had too many open. But if anybody would like to be unmuted, please raise your hand or type it in. Sorry. As I mentioned earlier, City of Arcata website, we have all the studies. We have the design for the treatment plant, all has the detail there. The PowerPoints of the 2 sessions we had with the council. Yeah, for a couple years we've met in public workshops to go over alternatives and the purpose and need. So it's been a long time coming to this point. Of course, in the best of times, we don't like to do rate increases or any time, but we've been planning for this, and the council, I think, response of delayed is appropriate here, just given the current situation, because our existing revenues for our own budget are even having to be refined just from Humboldt State University being on a declining enrollment, and then on remote classrooms and things like that. It has changed a few things, of course, lately. So we're trying to stay nimble, but get the project headed in the right direction. And some things that aren't in phase 1 and 2 are happening right now. We're rejuvenating Marsh 4 with our own financing, purchasing replacement aerators for one of the large oxidation ponds, building a baffle wall on the other large oxidation pond so it works, performs better, doesn't short circuit, so to speak, in terms of having the flow be more optimal for getting some primary treatment. So there's a lot of smaller scale projects that are going on that precede this construction project. But all those documents are available. Any of us, you can call City of Arcata Environmental Services 822-8184. Happy to chat about it. Yeah, I think we're trying to do our best to be transparent, of course, and to get as much information out as possible. So. But that said, citizens have the right to protest this, and just want to encourage you before June or July 1st to if you want to do that. It's helpful if you indicate why or what the issue is in your protest letter. But we'll be tallying those. It does take 50% plus 1 for the council to, for them to not go into effect, but no city council wants to have opposition to it. We want the citizens to embrace the need for these increases as much as they can, and understanding's super important for that. So trying to think of what else we can add, but Bella, can you make sure you give the link to the city's website that has all of the background documents. Some of them I've been popping on the screen here, but it would take probably a couple more hours to go through each in great detail. So we'll make sure we post that. This is being recorded too, I believe. Okay, hopefully I'm not the only one unmuted right now. So anybody else on the city team would like to add something at this point? I don't see any new questions, so just monitoring that. You know, our consultants did come up with a new rate for significant commercial user, and we have a high strength rate now. There are certain industrial or commercial uses that can be far above our top high strength. So we're looking to try to capture some of that impact through a different rate for that particular class. So that's a new rate that's been worked on too. In addition, I know that as project manager for the treatment plant upgrade, Adobe class would take anybody on a tour down there who asked for it, and that's something we can have. Maybe set up another public tour with maps now that we have our design to the point where it's not a concept and it's not a partial design. It's nearing 80% of the final project design. So might be worth offering that in the month of June for us to take people down to the treatment plant.
Be glad to do it. We could, that sounds like a great idea if anybody would really be interested. We could even break it up, the treatment plant on one day and the enhancement marshes the second day, because there might be a separate, there might be two different groups that are interested in both aspects.
Okay. Did I hide my view? I didn't mean to. It had been a long time since we hired a consultant to go over. We think that's a healthy thing to do. Outside firm to go over all of our books, all of our budgets, all of our records and future plans, and then help us, in the most systematic, careful way, line up rates to match the cost of delivering the service. I mean, that's worst case scenario is we're not charging enough, and then we end up in a situation of unable to deliver water and sewer and having discharge violations or worse. So I think it's prudent to invest in the long term, and that's what we're trying to do here. Sea level rise is probably the biggest challenge to the future, and we're going to have a plan, an adaptation plan there to get the most out of that site for as long as we can. So that's another project we're working on concurrently here, is protecting the site, protecting the investment, into the future, 60, 70 years. Okay, any more questions? I think we're running out, so we've been on since for almost an hour and 45 minutes. So I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us, and Andrea, any parting thoughts about the budget? Because this rate structure and the rate notice is how we've crafted the city's water and wastewater utility proposed budget that the city council is considering for fiscal year 2021. So it's the basis of that. So July 1st, the hearing. I think it's concurrent to also talking about the city's overall budget, but this is how we're structuring. The rates are heart and soul of the budget for water and wastewater.
I guess to add on that, as part of our budget process, we are considering all aspects of the economic climate that Arcata and our state are currently in. The reprieve that I think our environmental services director touched upon earlier for the delay of implementation of the rate increases for water in September of next year and our wastewater increases in January of next year. And let me just correct that, September of 2020. Are factored into our budget. We also are evaluating receivables on a timely basis and the impact of HSU not necessarily having live instruction in the fall. So all those factors have been included within our budget process for the next fiscal year.
Okay, thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll follow up with if there's any other questions that have floated in that we missed. I think we still have Fred Weiss on. Thanks for hanging out that long, Fred. Check the website for the updated spreadsheet and rate table that you inquired about, because it should be on there by now. Okay, with that, we'll sign off and thanks for joining us. We know this is not the optimal way to have workshops. Same with public hearings. So, you know, we're doing our best right now, but I hope we were able to answer some questions. Thank you.